welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia. I wanted to share an update on my Hoya Carnosa Compacta, also known as the HinduRope. I shared an initial video on that plant, I want to say maybe about 9 or 10 months ago when I first purchased the plant. I did get it from Williams Nursery in Westfield, New Jersey, which, by the way, if you guys are familiar with Williams, the New Jersey area and the nurseries here, Williams Nursery unfortunately will be closing its doors for good. But I'm so glad that I was able to get my Hoya Carnosa Compacta from Williams, as well as some other plants that I have in my possession. But I noticed that a lot of folks as of late have been watching that video that I did share, and again, I'll link the video in the cards and also down in my description box. The video has been picking up some steam, and I thought, why not share with you guys an update on that plant? The plant has grown so much, so without further ado, here is the plant. Let me bring it over on this side because I know you're probably wondering, why is this big BOP behind me? That's a whole different story, but I had to seclude it from the rest of my plants. But here is the update on the plant. So I'm gonna do like a slow turn so you can see exactly, how much it has grown, what it's looking like. Now, these plants are slow growers, and that's one thing that I did share in my last video, but in the last less than a year I've had it, it has grown so much, as you can see. I still have it in the same ceramic pot. I did mention at the time that it came with a hanging basket, and I haven't repotted this plant. I haven't switched out the soil since I purchased it. I just kept it as is because the plant is so beautiful. I didn't want to do anything to upset it or disturb it. So I kept it in the same pot, and I am still considering switching out the ceramic planter just because it's very heavy. If you guys know, if you have a ceramic planter, you know how heavy these things can be. So it's already a large plant as it is, so having it in this planter just makes it even heavier. I'm actually leaning my arm up against my chair here for support, but the plant has grown so much. It's still pretty full on the top, which I'm so happy about. I haven't seen any issues. Because the plant is so curly, it does make it a bit difficult to clean this plant, but what I've been doing the entire time I've had the plant, I would take my spray nozzle in my sink, or if you have a hose that has like a shower spray, when you water this plant, just kind of spray through the leaves. You have to water it anyways, right? So just spray through the leaves, really give it like a good douse of like high impact water. At least that's what I do to make sure I'm keeping it clean, or as clean as possible, because again, it'll take me probably like a good solid week if I wanted to go through and individually clean each of these curls. I don't have that time, so I really try to inspect this plant. Even when I'm not watering it, I'll just go take a look at it. I'll do like that little slow turn, and I'll just kind of look around to see if I see any pests. Now, I do water this with tap water, so there is some, like hard water stains on here. That doesn't bother me, but if it's something that bothers you, you may want to consider watering it with distilled water. I don't think the plant would mind either way. As I mentioned in my last video, and I'll still say it 9-10 months later, this plant is extremely easy to care for. Literally all I do is just water it, I give it enough light, and I leave it alone. Right now I'm watering it, I would say about once every few weeks, and it's perfectly happy with that. I also leave this plant on my plant shelf, and it gets direct light from my grow light, and my plant shelf also happens to sit right in front of a window. So it gets a moderate amount of light, and apparently it likes it because it's still doing really well. Here's a new leaf. You can always tell the new leaves because they're usually a lot shorter, so obviously. And if you do have one of these plants, you see how it has like a little bit of a stem. Typically when you see these on plants, like say a pothos for example, we call it looking leggy, and sometimes we'll even cut it. But in the case of the Hoya Carnosa Compacta, if you see like a stem like this, leave it alone, because this is where you're gonna see some new growth. I'm gonna bring it in a little bit closer. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Do you see this right here? This is the beginning of a new leaf forming. So you definitely want to leave this alone. If you see this on your plant, that's a great sign that the plant wants to grow. It wants to give you some new growth. So as far as watering, again, I use tap water, but you're also welcome to use distilled water. I also take my nozzle on my sink and I put it like on the shower setting, making sure I douse each and every stem with water. And the reason why I do that, again, is to help with cleaning the leaves, making sure there's no pests that I can't see. You know, because it is a curly plant, you're not going to see everything. There could be something right now in my plant that's like curled up in the leaf in one of the nooks that I can't see, but I feel confident that when I do douse it with water and I spray it through like that, I feel like I'm assisting in getting any bugs or pests out of there. And of course, while you do that, you're also watering the plant. I mean, after you do that, you also want to make sure you're giving the plant some good water until you see the water come through the drainage holes. I've had this plant for 8, 9, 10 months at this point. I know it's been less than a year. It has grown so much. I'll insert a before picture here on the side. So take a look at the before picture, how it looked when I first purchased it, and then here it is today. So such a huge difference. I mean, this plant is so beautiful. When I saw it at Williams Nursery, at that time I was looking everywhere for this plant, couldn't find it. It's also a plant that I really don't see that much today. Every once in a while I would go to a nursery and you may see one, maybe two if you're lucky, but this is not a plant that you're gonna just find at Home Depot, at least not the Home Depots that I go to. So I was so happy when I got this. When I first purchased it, at the time it was about $59. At that time, it was the most I had ever spent on a plant. Actually, I think till this day it's still the most I've ever spent on a plant. So it was it was really hard spending that much on a plant, but I'm so glad it did because look at how it looks today. I'm still deciding if I want to use it as a hanging plant. I am considering transferring this to a hanging basket. And I may even repot it. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm just like looking at all of the leaves here in the center, just making sure, you know, as far as pruning and upkeep, I've seen some yellow leaves in here, you know, here and there, not very regularly. But if you do see that, all you gotta do is just pluck it out, throw it away, and you're good. Haven't seen too much yellow leaves, so the plant obviously likes the care that I'm giving it. All right, so to round out the video, because my daughter is rolling up in here, water once every 3 or so weeks. Douse the water through. This is like the 3rd or 4th time I'm saying this in the video, again, because it is important that you want to make sure if there's any pests in there, you're getting rid of it. So douse the water through to clean the leaves. Give it a good amount of light. This plant, I mean, obviously with any plant, there are some plants that don't mind low light situations. However, if you do give it light, it'll give you growth. I sit my plant underneath a grow light, so my plant gets about 5 to 6 hours from that grow light, and I also have it sitting directly in front of a window, so it gets a good amount of light each day. I didn't have any issues with the plant in the winter, obviously no issues with the plant in the summer, and that's about it. As far as humidity, I honestly don't have a ton of humidity in my home. I just don't. In the summertime, that's of course when the humidity comes in, but at the beginning of my plant journey, I used to have a humidifier, but then I stopped using it just because I kind of forgot to put it on, to be completely transparent. So this doesn't really get much humidity at all, and it's still pretty happy. So I think that's about it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Here's an update on my Hoya Carnosa Compacta, still very much one of my favorite plants. I was speaking to my husband recently and I told him in the unfortunate event we had to like scram because, you know, for whatever reason, which plant will I grab out of my collection of 30 plus plants? This plant is coming with me, not the ceramic planter. I'm gonna leave that here because it's extremely heavy, but this plant is coming with me because I just love it so much. Such a beautiful plant. It looks intimidating at first, but trust me when I say this plant is super easy to care for. I'm a plant parent that loves and appreciates simple, easy plants. I do appreciate exotic plants as well, because why not? They're beautiful. But give me an easy to care for plant and I'm happy. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about my Hoya Carnosa Compacta, leave them below in the comments. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.